So today on a fish video, we're not just going to cook a piece of fish, we're going to make a full dish called Kedgeree. It's a popular breakfast or light lunch dish all over Britain. It's of course, Indian extraction, like many of the most popular dishes in Britain, Ireland, and Scotland are. So it builds exactly like any other Indian dish does. You start out with some fat, in this case butter, then toast some spices, add a bunch of alliums, sweat those out, and then build rice on top of it. So that'll be the sort of the base, the starch of the thing, and then we'll add some fresh cilantro, some hard-boiled eggs, some salmon, and I'm going to show you how to sear some scallops. I had a couple around. It seemed like a luxe addition to Kedgeree, which is usually a very sort of a pedestrian dish. It's an everyday kind of breakfast dish, the way that we would make ourselves a bowl of stone-cut oatmeal. They would make a dish of Kedgeree. So we're going to go back and start cooking straight away. So like I say, almost every Indian like dal or rice or lentil or peas all starts kind of the same way. You take a little fat, sometimes it's just oil, sometimes it's butter, depending on the region of India. They either do or don't use dairy products, either do or don't serve meat in particular. In the coastal areas where there is a lot of seafood, you do see a lot of seafood cooked. I'm going to butcher a whole bunch of Indian words when I talk about this dish, but this dish originated as khichdi, maybe, from the Gujarat area of India, which is strongly Hindi, so almost everything would be, or Hindu rather, everything would be very much vegetarian or vegan. You wouldn't see a lot of milk, a lot of cream, a lot of butter. This is sort of a British adaptation of that. The British traditional Kedgeree has smoked haddock. We're going to do smoked salmon today because it's a really popular product here at the shop. I have it, I love it. So I've got turmeric, curry powder, and mustard seeds. These are the sort of basic spices that go into this. It's the sort of the big aromatic and flavor profile will come from these three things. So I've got my butter warm, melted, starting to fry a little. I'll add all of my spices and just give them a little swirly swirl to start toasting. And you just want the spices start toasting and getting really aromatic. You'll notice a change in the smell of the thing when it's cooked enough. Like it starts smelling kind of toasty and warm. So as you can see, there's no like big special trick. This is you can do this in your kitchen at home with your own hard-boiled eggs or soft-boiled eggs, however you like them. It's just a real straightforward dish, but nice and flavorful, warming on a cold day. You know what I mean? So some ginger, some garlic, and some shallots are in now. I'm gonna roll it around in there so it starts turning all bright yellow and fun looking. That's gonna take 2 or 3 minutes to cook until it starts smelling like not raw onions, not raw garlic, not quite cooked, but not raw anymore. A little bit of salt will help the liquid start to fall out of the alliums and help them cook a little bit more quickly. While all this is figuring itself out, I'll go over here for a second. I've got some long grain rice that I just rinsed out and let soak for a little while. I find that it helps it cook more evenly. It's real straight, really, probably the only real sneaky trick in this whole thing. I've got chicken stock. You can use fish stock. You can use water, whatever liquid you want to cook your rice in. It's totally up to you. So that's what I'll cook all of the rice in. I've got a little timer here. I don't use timers for a lot of things, but for cooking rice, I find it really helpful because I'm kind of forgetful and scattered. So it helps me to stay on task. Scallops. I've got 2 nice big sea scallops that I'll sear while we're waiting for the rice to cook. And a big chunk of smoked salmon. This is our house smoked salmon. We make it every day. There's plenty around every week. It's Maine Atlantic salmon, cured with salt and sugar, and then smoked over cherry wood till it's just cooked through. It's nothing It is by far the best-selling prepared item in the entire shop at Carnivore. It outsells any other 3 prepared goods that we sell here. The other sort of protein addition is really traditional to have hard-boiled eggs in your Kedgeree. These are marinated in like a little bit of curry pickling liquid, so they're kind of sour, but absolutely delicious. If you're into pickled eggs, you should have some. Let's see here. All right. So we've got a little bit of a toast going on. The alliums and garlic are all a little bit cooked. So I'm gonna drop the stock in. I'm just gonna steam in my face for a moment. And I'll just bring that whole thing up to a simmer, then drop the rice. Once the rice is back up to a simmer, I'll throw the lid on it, throw it in the oven. You don't have to turn your oven on to do this. You can simmer it on the stovetop. Commercial burners are a little powerful for cooking rice. You tend to burn it a little, so I'm gonna finish it in the oven. Just makes life a little bit easier on us. Liquid comes up to a simmer. Rice gets dropped in. Give it a little mix. You don't want to mix it too much, because if you start really beating on it in the hot liquid, it will, the rice will start to break up a little bit, and what you want is big fluffy grains of rice in your Kedgeree. So, I'm going to give that another 30 seconds or 45 seconds to come back up to a simmer, and then it'll go away, and in the magic of TV time, it'll be ready almost immediately thereafter. In the mean, I'm going to season my scallops kind of liberally with salt. Put a lot of salt on the outside because you're really not getting anything on the inside. It's a bit like cooking a steak. It's a thick thing, so you're not going to get the salt to the middle in the short time that the salt will be on it. So searing scallops is the thing you see a ton of in cooking shows and little bullshit like that, and they make it seem like there's some trick or like it's hard to do or something. It's not. If you've got a little cast iron skillet like I got here, you can use a bigger one too. There's just no need to for 2 scallops. Heat a little oil up so it's nice and squealing hot. And there's a thing that oil does when it's hot enough to cook in. It starts to kind of dimple at the top. It's hard to see with a camera and all of that stuff, but when you're cooking at home, you'll be able to see it basically right away. So scallops, you can see, have kind of a striation that they sit kind of on a flat side. So flat side down, it should immediately start to sizzle like it did here. With fresh sea scallops like these, you don't have to be afraid of having a little bit of a temperature on them. So if you sear them well and quickly enough and they wind up kind of rare or medium rare, that's totally fine. And it'll actually, I really love the texture of a medium rare scallop. It's like a little soft and kind of delicate in the middle with a little crust on the outside. It's brown and sweet. The main difference between a big commercial kitchen like this and your kitchen at home is that we take the time to take everything out of the drawers and put it in the place where it's going to be most useful. That's really all we have as an advantage above a, grandma's home kitchen is all our shit's out in one sock, So, scallops still need another little second. For those of you that have cooked scallops before, you can see that I already took the foot off of these. All the nice sea scallops have a little bit of tissue on the side of them that eats like rubber bands if you don't pull it off, so I usually pull those off. And if you're going through a lot of scallops, you can make something out of them. If you're cooking 3 scallops at a time at home, fuck it, just throw them away. There we go. So just a little brown on the top. If you can get in close enough, you can see there's a little bit of a moist spot in the middle of that. That's going to wind up where your kind of the temperature on your scallop is. So you'll get like a nice medium or medium rare. Sometimes it gets as far as medium well. Still really good because you're going to wind up with some lemon and some butter and some rice and some sauce. It all comes together really, really nicely. I forgot to set my timer. Oh well. I'll have to figure it out. Camera shy, what can I say? Another 45 seconds or a minute on the scallops, and we'll be there. I'm going to grab a fresh dish to put them in. Does not contain raw scallop juice. Leave us not poison ourselves with breakfast. So there we go. You see, just a little brown, nice suntan on both sides. And that one's split open just perfectly, so you can kind of see that it's a little bit rare in the middle. That's going to eat really nicely. So we're going to have to back off for a little bit because I probably got 10 or 12 minutes left on rice, but we'll come back to you once the Kedgeree is ready, and we'll do some final assembly and plating and stuff. All right. Shall we? All right. So I've got our rice. So the base of the Kedgeree is just this lovely long grain rice, alliums, bright yellow sauce. So we'll just ditch that out on the plate. Boom, boom, boom. So much rice. Fucking starving. I can't wait to get into this. Let's see. Do our seared scallops. Nice handful of smoked salmon. Some boiled eggs. Delicious green things to make it look nice and taste better. And James, can you hand me a lemon out from under there? I know we got one. Thank you. A couple of slices of lemon just to cut the fat a little bit. Smoked salmon in particular has a reasonably high fat content for a fish, so you need something with a little bit of acidic bite to cut through it. So that's that, Kedgeree, traditional British breakfast. Come in and get the stuff, make it yourself, it'll be fun.